the average tenure for an account executive is about, I think, 2.3 years, according to Bridge Group. The average tenure for an SDR is about 1.8 years. So you got to put two and two together. The average account executive has not sold through a recession before. So in other words, they kind of don't know what it's like when things like are not going really well and everyone wants to talk to you, right? So a lot of the data would support SalesLoft has got a really, kind of depending on your deal size, that a typical rep should self-source 25 to up to 65% of their pipeline based on if they're an average versus top performer versus their deal size. And what I predict that we're going to see a lot of, and I'm already starting to see it because companies are hiring fewer SDRs. I've seen a lot of companies that are only hiring account executives.
Full sales cycle?
Yep, full sales cycle reps. I'm also seeing, I'm predicting a trend that the SDR to account executive ratio, and this is based on what I see in companies right now. Bridge Group has talked about that being pretty steady at like one SDR supporting two account executives for the last 3 years, and it hasn't moved. I see more like 1 to 4 and 1 to 5 in the companies that I work with. And I work with some of the larger software companies out there. So what does all of that mean? It means that as an account executive, if you want to hit or surpass your quota, like you need to get really good at self-sourcing. And you have very little time to do it, assuming that you're also running deals and, working the rest of the pipeline. So it's becoming an activity that if you can squeeze in 60 to 90 minutes a day, Monday through Friday you can self-source enough pipe, but you have to be extremely skilled at outbound to spend that little time and self-source your pipeline. So it's becoming this game where as an account executive, you have to be an elite prospector. You have to be very, very good at outbound to make it work for you from a time management standpoint.
60 to 90 minutes, you're saying that's minimum. And if you're very good at it and you've done it before and you know what you're doing.
Yeah, the reality is if you were to ask most account executives right now to show you their calendar, the reality is they could probably spend 3 to 4 plus hours a day because they have so few opportunities that they're working. I think another thing to think about, especially when times get tough, we saw a little bit of this during COVID, is you have to disqualify deals earlier. Mm-hmm. And it's really easy to get in this trap, especially as an enterprise rep, to work a deal that is just not a very good deal for many reasons. Most of those reasons being, which is another topic altogether, is multi-threading. Most of those reasons is that you just don't have access to the right person. And you don't know how to. Multi-threading is a prospecting exercise. I've been talking about that a lot too. Like getting really good at, I started the conversation with someone at a manager level who has like basically no influence in the org and doesn't want to help. What do I do next? And most people would just lost that deal or just continue working it and following up with that manager and trying to ask them to help and try to get them to do intros and invite people onto the next call and that sort of thing.